All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash the True Inferno. And before we get on with this week's Throwback Tunes video, I just want to announce that the Kyoto Hour Volume 4 Rising Sun is out now. So head on over to trueinferno.bandcamp.com to pick that joint up. It's only $2. That's it, just $2. Pick that joint up. It is one of, if not the best album of the year. So yeah, head on over to trueinferno.bandcamp.com to pick up the Kyoto Hour Volume 4, or head on over to true-inferno.co.nr for more info. And just a heads up, the single drops later on tonight. The fourth and final single, which is called A Cold Star, will drop tonight at midnight. And it's also off the album. So yeah, check that out. It will be on YouTube. And pick up the album off of my Bandcamp site. Now, let's get on with this week's episode of Throwback Tunes. Now, last week, I left it in you guys' hands regarding which Notorious B.I.G. album I should review. The choices were Ready to Die, Life After Death, Born Again, and Duets, The Final Chapter. And we have a tie. On Facebook, Ready to Die led the way, while on Twitter, Twitter, Ready to Die led the way, while on Facebook, Life After Death led the way. And if you were to add up the votes from both polls, we have a tie. So this week, I'm going to review Ready to Die first, and then next week, I'm going to review Life After Death. And the only reason why I'm doing that in that order because when Ready to Die came out, Biggie was alive. It's that simple. So yeah, there you go with that. And with that said, let me get on with the review. Now, Ready to Die came out September 13th, 1994. So I was in elementary school still. Wow. That's all I got to say. Wow. Now, as I mentioned already, this is Biggie's debut studio album, and it was obviously released under Bad Boy Records. And let's see. The label's first release, the album features production by Bad Boy founder Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka Puppy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, and so forth and whatnot. Also, part of the production was Easy Mo B, Chucky Thompson, DJ Premier, and Lord Finesse, amongst others. So let me give you all the others real quick. Blues with a Z Brothers, Poke or Poke from Trackmasters, Darnell Scott, and yeah, there you go with that. Now, the album was recorded from 1993 up to 1994, and this album tells the story of Biggie's experiences as a young criminal. And unfortunately, Ready to Die is his only studio album released during his lifetime, as he was murdered just days prior to the release of his second album, Life After Death, which I will review next week. Ready to Die was released on critical acclaim and became a commercial success, achieving gold certification. In '95, after the release, the album became a certified double platinum, and the album has reached a certified quadruple platinum with sales. It was significant for revitalizing the East Coast hip-hop scene amidst West Coast hip-hop commercial dominance. So, yeah. And also, Ready to Die has been regarded by many music critics as one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, as well as one of the best albums of the 90s. See, this is one of the reasons why I say the 90s is the best decade ever. Now then, there was some issues with the album because of the fact that this album came out. Bad Boy had to go through some lawsuits and had to remove some samples. So yeah, they illegally sampled some songs for the production. So for example, Ready to Die, Machine Gun Funk, and Give Me the Loot, they were all illegally sampled apparently. So yeah, there you go with that. Now, as far as the removal though, I'm a bit curious about that. So let's see. The jury awarded $4.2 million in punitive and direct damages to the two plaintiffs, and federal judge Todd Campbell enacted an immediate sales ban on the album and tracks in question. Now, all versions of the album released since the lawsuit are without the disputed samples, which is interesting. So I'm curious to know what the samples are. And let me see. I ain't gonna look for it. So if you wanna know what they are, then you can look for it on your own time. So with that out the way, let's get on with the actual track. Now, depending on which version you got, if you got the original version that came out in 1994, there are 17 tracks. And out of those 17 tracks, 2 of them are skits. The intro and track number 8. And oh my gosh, track number 8. I'll get more of that when I read off the track listings. But if you got the 2004 remastered bonus edition, then there's 2 additional tracks on there. Now, I want to keep it with the original, which means if I do that and then I had to eliminate the 2 skits, that means there's 15 tracks on here that are strictly music, which means I can only give y'all a top 3. But if I do the remastered version, which is still 10 years older to this exact date, by the way, then I can do a top 5. I really want to do a top 5 with this album. This album is that good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with the original, but I'm going to break my own rules. I'm going to stretch it out a bit. Instead of saying more than 15, I'm going to say 15 and more from this point going forward. I'm going to give you our top 5. Yeah, we're going to play it safe like that. 15 or more, you'll get a top 5. Anything less than 15, you get a top 3. So let me read out the tracks to y'all real quick. The first track is called Intro, and this is basically, I guess, telling Biggie's life up to the point right before he got signed with Bad Boy. So he was born, and then when he was young, how his parents was arguing, and then when he grew up a little bit, him and his homeboy was trying to rob a train, and then it ended with him getting out of prison. And he was saying, "Oh, I got big plans," and we know what the big plans were. Track number 2 is called Things Done Change, followed by track number 3, which is called Give Me the Loot. Next up is one of the tracks in question. Actually, those 2 tracks along with this one was the ones in question. Machine Gun Funk. Track number 5 is called Warnings. Y'all should know about that one. Track number 6 is called Ready to Die, followed by One More Chance. A little bit of info regarding that track. It's not the one y'all thinking of, if you can believe that. Track number 8, and I got my hand over my face because of track number 8 right here. This is the other skit. The other skit is called, track number 8 is called Fuck Me, which is and then in parentheses, interlude. Let me explain how this goes. And let me read this from jeans.com. Basically, what this skit is Jodeci's song playing in the background and sounds of Biggie and Lil' Kim having sex on a bed. That's basically what this is. And I'm like, are you serious? And if you were to listen to this skit, it's actually funny because while the act in question is taking place, this crazy chick, Lil' Kim, says, and I quote, "Oh, fuck me, you black Kentucky fried chicken eating. Oh, yeah." Okay, we're gonna skip that part. But here's the one that got me. She said again, and I quote, "You chronic smoking, Oreo cookie eating, pickle juice drinking, chicken grizzly eating, biscuit sucking, motherfucker, VH juice drinking, slim fast, blended black greasy motherfucker." And she said all this while she's supposedly getting back. It's hilarious. I was listening to it, I'm like, wait, what? And then she ends with Jenny Craig eating. Oh my gosh, that joint is hilarious. Well, I don't know. Now, if you look at this off of jeans.com, now they say the woman said that last part. But that first part about the whole Oreo cookie eating and all that part, apparently that was Kim. Oh man, that was funny. So yeah, I had to get that out there. I gotta get that off my chest because that joint was too hilarious. Now then, track number 9 is called The What featuring Method Man. This is the only track off this album. Even if you was to include the 2 tracks off of the remastered version, this was the only track off of this entire album that features another rapper, another person, period. Track number 10 is called Juicy. And y'all probably wondering, wait a minute, what about One More Chance? Didn't they have Faith Evans and Mary J? More of that later. Track number 10 is Juicy, and y'all know what that is. Track number 11 is called Everyday Struggle. And track number 12, I'm not gonna spoil it, I'm gonna save it for later. Track number 12 is called Me, and then you got the and sign, basically Me and My Bitch. Track number 13 is called Big Popper, y'all know that one. Track number 14 is called Respect. The next track is called Friend of Mine, followed by Unbelievable, and y'all should know that one as well. And then the last track off the original version of this album is called Suicidal Thoughts. Now again, if you got the remastered version, then you got track number 18, and y'all should know this one, Who Shot Ya? And then track number 19 is called Just Playing, and then in parentheses, Dream. Now, there are 4 singles off of this album, and then there's some additional info on some of these tracks that were not singles. Now let's get on with the first single, and obviously you should know what it is. Juicy. Now, y'all probably wondering, wait a minute, what is Juicy? And if you're asking that, you need to do something. Like, you really need to get your head examined or something. If you don't know what Juicy is, I'm sorry. Because Juicy is, without question, one of the legendary singles of all time. Like, it's without question. Just look it up on YouTube, and you should know what this is. And let me start off real quick. It's like this. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Marley Marl. Yeah. And then, of course, the hook, when you go into the hook, he's like, and if you don't know, now you know, nigga. And then, you know very well who you are. And then, so yeah, you should know that one. Anywho, that song Juicy is the debut single of his, and it came out August 9th, 1994. So 9 days before my birthday that year. It was produced by Polk, Track Masters, and Sean Combs, and it contained a sample of, what is that? Oh, how you pronounce that? Mutme, M-T-U-M-E, Juicy Fruit. And obviously, if you heard Juicy Fruit, you can hear that on here. But it's directly sampled from the song Fruity Instrumental mix. It has an alternative chorus song by the girl group Total. Wow, Total. It's been a long time since I heard anything from them. But anywho, the song is considered by Rolling Stone, The Source, and About.com as one of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time, as the song has sold over 607,000 copies. And there's a little bit of controversy with this single. So check this out. Producer Pete Rock alleged that Puffy stole the idea for the original song's beat after hearing it from him during a visit. Pete Rock explained this in an interview with Rax Poetics, and I quote, I did the original version, didn't get credit for it. They came to my house, heard the beat going on the drum machine. It's the same story. You come downstairs at my crib, you hear music. He heard that shit, and the next thing you know, it comes out. They had me do a remix, but I tell people, and I will fight it to the end, that I did the original version of that. I'm not mad at anybody, I just want the correct credit. And of course, there was a remix for Juicy, by the way, and of course, Pete Rock did produce that one. And he used the same sample as the original, by the way, as well. Now, on the Ron Epstein podcast, Pete Rock discussed this briefly as well, mentioning that it was he has no, wait a minute, it was he, that don't mean that, like, that's grammarly incorrect, that he has no, take that words out, mentioning that it was he who has no, or who, something. Anywho, he had no hard feelings about how Juicy came about, just that he had risked he got the proper credit, although he did harbor some ill feelings at one time. And a lot of accolades went with this single, by the way. So I can understand his frustrations about that. Now, looking at the charts, it was only 72nd on the UK singles, 30th on the UK R&B charts, 22nd on the US Billboard Hot 100, and number 1 on the US Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs and the US Hot Rap Singles, both done by Billboard. So, yeah, there you go with that. Now, the next single was Big Popper. Now, again, y'all should know this one as well. I love it when you call me Big Popper. Put your hands in the air if you a true player. I mean, come on now, really? And this one samples Between the Sheets by the Isley Brothers. Y'all should know that song too. Anywho, this single came out February 20th, 1995. So, yeah. Wait a minute. It says like on the actual single page it came out February, but if you look at the album page, it said it came out December 24th, 1994. So that's interesting. But we're going to move on. The song was nominated for Best Rap Solo Performance at the 1996 Grammy Awards, and it also went on to win at the Billboard Music Awards as well. The single was certified platinum and sold 800,000 copies domestically. And there's a remix for this one featuring Jermaine Dupri called Big Popper, and then in parentheses, So Def Remix, which has similar lyrics with Dupri replacing Puff Daddy, except Biggie has a new third verse rather. And this remix appeared as a single. So yeah, and that's the only reason why I would listen to that, just to hear that third verse. Now, anywho, the single did well on the charts. It was 63rd in the UK charts, 6th in the US Billboard Hot 100, 4th in the US Billboard Hot R&B/Hip Hop Singles and Tracks, and number 1 on the US Billboard Hot Rap Singles. And by the end of 1995, it was 47 on the US Billboard Hot 100. So, yeah. Moving on to the next single, which is called Warning. Now, that one came out February 1995. There's no info on Warning, unfortunately, but y'all should know what it is. You know, it's that one song, damn, niggas trying to steal me for my paper. Damn, niggas trying to steal me for my paper. That one, yeah. And that one's dope as heck. Legendary. All right, let's move on to the last single. And this is the one I want to talk about. And it's that One More Chance. That one. Everybody should know that one. But here's the thing. Here's what some of you may not have known. I didn't even know this until I actually read it. The One More Chance song that we are all familiar with and know and love is actually called One More Chance / Stay With Me Remix. So, this song came out June 6, 1995. Let's see what the oh, that one said June 3rd, 1995, but whatever. Okay, we're on the same ballpark. So, the Stay With Me remix version features additional vocals by Faith Evans and an uncredited appearance by Mary J. Blige. It was certified platinum on July 31st and sold 1.1 million copies. Now, here's the thing. The original version of the song appeared on the Ready to Die album, and both of them are completely different. The remix version, that the one that we all know and love, features new lyrics, a new chorus, and a different beat than the original. There is also a hip-hop mix which samples Marley Marl's Droppin' Science featuring rapper Craig G. And at the time, Faith Evans was an up-and-coming R&B artist at the time. The remix was produced by Trackmasters, who sampled DeBarge's 1983 song Stay With Me. How ironic is that? Now, the song peaked at number 2 in the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the Hot R&B/Hip Hop Song charts. It was the highest debuting single of all time, tying with Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's song Scream when it entered the Hot 100 at number 5 at the time. It remained the highest debuting single for a rap song on the Hot 100 until Puff Daddy's tribute song I'll Be Missing You debuted at number 1. Lauryn Hill and Eminem would later equal this feat, with the former's Do Wop That Thing entering in the top spot in 1998 and the latter with Not Afraid in 2010. So, yeah, there you go with that. Now, the original version, the one that appeared on the album, features the R&B trio Total and was produced by Sean Combs. It samples Hydra by Grover Washington Jr. and features an interpolation of I Want You Back by the Jackson 5 on the chorus. The lyrics, as I said, on the album version are different and more profane from both remixes. So, yeah, very interesting. Now, let's check out the charts. Now, I'm assuming this is for the remix version. New Zealand charts, they had it at high number 48. It was 34th on the UK charts. And I believe I mentioned this, so I'm going to mention it again. Second on the US Billboard Hot 100. And number 1 on the Hot R&B/hip-hop singles and tracks. And the hot rap singles. And by the end of 1995, it was 23rd on the US Billboard Hot 100. Like I said, one of the, if not the greatest single of all time. One More Chance. Yeah, there you go with that. And I think I mentioned this already, but it was platinum. Now, that's it for the singles, but there's more info on other songs. For example, Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah, that one. Some of you might have heard that one. So, yeah, this one obviously came out when the album dropped. And the sample R. Kelly's Your Body's Calling and Honey Drippers, Impeach the President. Ooh, Impeach the President. That's a good sample right there. So yeah, y'all look that one up, man. I may look that one up after I do this review. And then, of course, the ever so controversial Who Shot Ya? That one is, again, part of the remastered version. That one came out February 20th, 1995, although it was recorded in 1994, although there's some question marks regarding that. Now, here's the background info on this song. And here's why I'm talking about it, even though it's not in the original version of this album. Originally, the song was recorded for the Mary J. Blige album My Life and meant for what eventually became the Keith Murray interlude, as evident on the track by use of the same instrumental. However, Biggie's version was considered too violent to be put into an R&B album, and Keith Murray was asked to record his version instead. The song samples David Porter's I'm Afraid the Masquerade Is Over. Now then, here's why this is controversial. Tupac Shakur and many of his fans listened to the song and concluded that it was a diss track mocking his robbery and shooting in Manhattan, New York, due to the timing of its release, merely 2 months after the shooting incident. Although the track did not specifically call out Tupac, it contained suspicious lines in both the verse and second verses. After the song was released, it was met with a high amount of controversy, adding fuel to the East Coast West Coast hip hop rivalry. Now, Biggie and Puff Daddy have asserted that the song was recorded months earlier, with Biggie exclaiming in a Vibe magazine interview, and I quote, "I wrote that motherfucking song way before Tupac got shot," he said. It was supposed to be the intro to that shit Keith Murray was doing on Mary J. Blige's joint, but Puff said it was too hard. Despite the controversy, Biggie frequently performed the song live, perhaps to intimidate or challenge his rival during the widely publicized feud as seen in the biopic film Notorious, further promoting the East Coast West Coast hip hop rivalry. Because of the song's controversy, okay, I ain't gonna talk about that part. And of course, Tupac fired back with his song, which was called Hit 'Em Up. So yeah, and of course, a lot of people use that beat. Or made reference to Who Shot You. And I actually reviewed one of the artists who used that song in the album I reviewed. Y'all remember Black on Both Sides by Mos Def? He did that track called Brooklyn, which had like 3 songs in one track, and that third part had that beat. And then there's another album. It was like a DJ Clue album, The Professional. I think this was part 2. Jay-Z did a song using this beat, and I will never forget it because it starts off with old school, new school, y'all need to know this. I burned light left out Lisa Lopez. I was like, gun doggone. That is crazy. And of course, other artists use this one, like Cannabis, Lil' Kim, Big L, Ja Rule, when he was dissing 50 Cent and so forth and whatnot. So, yeah, there you go with that. So with all the info off the way, and we near 25 minutes already. I didn't even talk about my favorite tracks off this album. Well, let's get to that. So, again, when I say the worst track off this album, I'm not saying this is the track that sucks the most or was like, while everything else was like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. It was just that of all the tracks on here, this one was the worst in comparison to everything else. Not saying that it sucks or that it's horrible or terrible. It's just that it's the worst of them all. Or I guess like the lowest point track off this album, I guess. So starting from the bottom on up, One More Chance. Again, this ain't the One More Chance. It ain't that one. Like that one's smooth. Like this one was pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie. But compared to the other tracks, it's the bottom. It's at the bottom. Next up is Give Me the Loot, followed by Friend of Mine. And then, of course, Big Papa, which is a legendary single. And then we got Everyday Struggles. Now, the deal with Everyday Struggles is, I love the sample that they used for it. They should have used a different snare for it. If they had a different snare for it, it would have been on point. Moving on, Juicy, obviously, another legendary sample. And Respect. Now, those are all cool tracks right there. Now, here's some of my more favorite tracks right here. Suicidal Thoughts. That joint was ill as heck, but here's the problem. The beat was too slow. It was too slow. If it was a little bit more faster, it could have broken my top 5. But it didn't. I had to put it at number 8 because the beat was too slow. It was too slow. It sounds off a little bit. If it was like sped up, just like I said, not major, but like a little tiny bit, it would have been really on point. Then of course we got Unbelievable and Waited to Die, which is a smooth track because that beat was smooth, man. All right, here's my top 5. The What featuring Method Man. Speaking of smooth beats, here's another one right here, dog. And Method Man on the track with Biggie, dog. Like, if Biggie was on it by himself, it would have been ill. Method Man was a bonus, really. Not saying that Method Man's garbage, because I'm not saying that at all. I mean, not far from it. But compared to Biggie, Method Man was a bonus. So, yeah, but the beat, for me, made this one, along with Biggie lyrics and Method Man's appearance as well. So, yeah, it's number 5. Number 4, Machine Gun Funk. This beat is smooth as heck. Oh, my gosh, man. Like, this is the type of joint where if you were driving like 5 miles per hour, it's nighttime, and you were smoking or vaping or whatever, and you want to listen to something smooth, this is the one right here, Machine Gun Funk. That joint is smooth right there. And you want to talk about, oh man, and then the next track, the third best track off this album, Things Done Change. That track right there is ill. It is really, really dope, man. And at first, it was going to be my number 1. It's the second track off this album. And I heard, I'm like, yo, this joint is dope. So, yeah, and it's like, it's got that violent nature. So, yeah, you get to listen to it out. And when I first heard that track, this is like the first song off this album. I'm like, oh, man, it's off to a really good start. And it was my number 1, but then number 2 came on. Warning. I mean, come on now. It's legendary. I mean, come on, man. That beat was out cold. The lyricism was out cold. Everything about this track was out cold. I'm like, oh, this is on here? And I listened to the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, this is my number 1. And then we get to the track that was actually number 1. The best track off of this album. This is the one. Like I said, this track was, this album was amazing prior to the best track of this entire album, till I heard that track. It was amazing as is. And everything that followed was still amazing. So yeah, I can see how this was arguably the greatest, one of, and arguably the greatest hip-hop album of all time. And then I heard this one track, and I had to put this high on my list. I'll talk about I'll get more on that later. But when I heard this track right here, the best track off this album is Me and My Bitch. When I heard that, I could not function. It felt like my brain was melting, and not in a negative way. This track was so ill. It was so on point. I'm afraid to listen to it again because my brain may fully melt from listening to that track. It was that good. I was like, dog, I don't know what to do. Like, and I rarely have this experience for positive and negative things. Like, I remember when they announced Kingdom Hearts 3, and my body couldn't function. I remember on that top 100 video games of all time list, and they put Mortal Kombat and all them other classic games at the bottom of that list, and my body couldn't function. That was more in a negative way, while that Kingdom Hearts 3 announcement was more positive. This is positive too. I was like, dog. I like, forget losing my mind. My mind nearly melted. I was like, yo, the beat was out cold. The lyricism was on point. And I was like, dog. So yeah, that track right there. And let me explain something to you real quick with the top three. The three best tracks off this album. Now, Warning, I could easily find the instrumental for that. But you better not let me catch an instrumental for Things Done Change and Me and My Bitch. If I find instrumentals to those two, it's over. Like, it's over. That's all I'm saying, man. Even Machine Gun Funk, if I find an instrumental for that, you know it's over. So, man, that's all I gotta say, dog. If you have not heard Ready to Die, you need to listen to, you need to listen to the whole album, but if I had to pick one, like if somebody told me you can only pick one track, it would be Me and My Bitch. I would straight up tell you to listen to that one. That track is ill as heck. It is arguably the greatest track of all time. It is up there with Dead Presidents, Part 1 and 2. It is up there, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It is up there with Put Up Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. And that's my all-time favorite track. This track by Biggie is that out cold. It is that ill. So yeah, if there's just one track off of this album that you need to listen to, it's track number 12, and it's again called Me and My Bitch. So yeah, that track is the best track off the entire album. Now, with that out the way, let me give y'all some professional ratings. All Music, 5 out of 5 stars. Blender, 5 out of 5 stars. Chris Gowell's Consumer Guide, A-. Hip Hop DX, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm looking at the queue, and they gave it 3 out of 5 stars. They must be smoking something. Rolling Stone, 4 out of 5 stars. But yet, the Rolling Stone Album Guide, 5 out of 5 stars. Aren't they the same thing? Like, what the? Anywho, The Source, 4.5 out of 5. And Uncut, 4 out of 5 stars. So, True Inferno, this was your first time listening to a B.I.G. album. How was it? Okay. I have said this time and time again. When it comes, in my opinion, when it comes to me listing off the greatest rap / hip hop albums of all time, it's When Disaster Strikes by Busta Rhymes, and that one's underrated in the conversation. It's Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. It's Illmatic by Nas. And another underrated one, Capital Punishment by Big Pun. Ready to Die is in that conversation. And I am this close from putting it ahead of all of them. It is a 5 out of freaking 5. This is without question, wow. This album is dope, and it makes me wonder, what in the heck has I been doing all these years? How is it that I did not listen to this album? And it's funny because even though I have not really listened to Biggie music and Pac music like that, outside from what was played on the radio and outside from the music videos, and based off of that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm more a Pac fan than Biggie fan. But after I heard this album, I'm ready to change my mind about that. This album was dope as heck. And here's what I'm going to do. And y'all need to do the same thing as well if you're not as fortunate. Not as fortunate as me, but not as fortunate like me. If you do not have a physical copy of this album, you better go and get it. And that's what I'm going to do. I am going to look for a physical copy of this album. This album is that ill. It is that dope. 5 out of 5. One of, if not the greatest rap / hip hop album of all time. And you need to pick up a physical copy. Don't just download it for free. Say, hey, I got this. No. Pick up a physical copy. I don't care which version. The original or the remastered version. I'll probably pick up the remastered version because of that Who Shot You track. But yeah, 5 out of 5. No questions asked. Which brings me to an interesting question. with me raving on about how great this album is, what about his second album? We'll find out next week. I will review that one next week, Life After Death. So, yeah, man, y'all know who this is. How long is this? I think this is like 35 minutes. Y'all know who this is. This is the new Jay Gatsby, a.k.a. the new Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Oh!